To go the way of something is an idiom, and it means to have the same thing happen as something else. For instance, scientists warn us that if we don't do something, more animals could go the way of the clouded leopard and become extinct. Some of these animals are the animals that Wang included in her book, the black bear and the blue magpie. These are animals that have been living in Taiwan for a very long time. But as people's cities and towns got bigger and bigger, and people started living in more, closer and closer to the forest, we started to move into the places that these animals used to live. And we might like clouded leopards and black bears, but we don't always like living right next to them.
Yeah,
so
it'd be a bit dangerous.
As people moved to more places, these animals were pushed out.
Pushed away to the high ground meant by the rooftops and so on. So that's the rooftops, and that's kind of one of the main meanings of this story.
Right.
There is another one, though, that Wang wanted to show people. We see that Wang also wanted to show the different things people use rooftops for. It's the sort of thing we might just ignore because we can't see them most of the time.
Yeah.
So she wants to show them. We saw the things like the water towers, the vegetable gardens, racing pigeons, beehives, all this kind of thing.
In the story, Giraffe helps us see this side of our daily lives. Let's take a look at that word daily. It's an adjective, D-A-I-L-Y, daily. And it means everyday, ordinary, or normal. In our daily lives, we use lots of modern things like phones and the MRT. But we don't always look up instead. Lots of us are walking around looking at our phones all the time.
Well, even if you look up, I mean, they're on top of the building, so you might see, oh, there's a tower, there's a rooftop, there's a crane, but you wouldn't see everything because you'd need to be above it or on it to be able to see it.
Right.
So, yeah, it is kind of hard unless you're looking out your window and paying attention.
Or unless you're a giraffe.
Yes,
and
of course.
Very high up there.
That's kind of why we've got the giraffe as the main character. He kind of helps us see things. So we also see in the article that the rooftops seem to be a place where the animals are safe and can enjoy life. We saw them playing hide and seek, we saw them being able to hang out and talk to each other and not be bothered by anyone, kind of like the way that if you were up on a roof, no one would bother you because, as we've been saying, we don't often look up and see what's going on up there.
Right. When I look out my window and I look on my neighbor's roofs, I see lots of cats.
There we go.
Now, these cats might be a lot smaller than the Formosan clouded leopard, but they've moved onto the rooftops to find a place to live. They can enjoy life there. People don't bother them because people aren't often walking around on their rooftops. And they sort of have their own lives there. The article says maybe Wang was trying to suggest, perhaps this suggests that we need to create more places like this for endangered animals. Let's take a look at that word create. It's a verb, C-R-E-A-T-E, create. And it means to make or build or start. An example sentence could be, last month, the government created a new national park in the mountains.
So that's, I guess, the kind of a lesson we can take from it. Like, these animals who have their rooftop space, they're all very happy, they can survive, they can find food, and they maybe even get a chance to have babies. So, if we can do something like that and create a space for animals to be safe, for animals to have babies and keep living, then they won't be extinct. So
exactly.
This is maybe a little bit of a guess, I think, when I wrote this article. I think that's what it meant. I would like to meet Wang Quanzi and talk to her about, did you mean that, or is that just me kind of thinking what I'm seeing? But it's certainly a good lesson, and it's certainly something that we should all think about, and that's why we have national parks and other places and preserves to stop the people going in and killing the animals and just letting them have their own space, really.
Right. And this book is written to focus on the Formosan clouded leopard, which was an extraordinary kind of animal. It's clouded leopards are, I think, some of the coolest animals. They live in really interesting places. Sadly, this really interesting animal doesn't live in Taiwan anymore. There aren't any more of them left. The only place we can see them now is in the museums, where we do have the skins of them.
Yeah, maybe they stuff
skins and bones, stuffed and mounted.
Yeah, no living ones.
We can't see them even in a zoo anymore.
Yeah, that's really sad as well. I would have loved to have seen one, but there you go. So, yeah, we should kind of take lessons from this book and do something before it's too late and leave all of these animals extinct. And that's something we'll talk about in just a moment when we go to today's For You chat question.